Greetings, dear Astro friends. It's Melanie on the 2nd of July 2022 with the Astro weather for this week going till July the 8th. Yeah, how are you liking the meteorological weather here on the Pacific Northwest coast? Finally, summer has arrived and it's beautifully warm, maybe even moving towards a heat wave. Well, no, not quite over 30 degrees this weekend, but I'm talking about the astro weather, and there's a lot of waves going out, coming in, as Neptune has now also gone retrograde as of this morning. Saturn in Pisces, where also Neptune is, went retrograde on the 29th. Quite a Saturn day, 29th of June, and it was Saturday, which is the day of Saturn. Saturn went retro in Pisces, about 20 degrees, just 19 something. And now Neptune has freshly gone retrograde, shy of entering Aries. That's a big deal. Next year, Neptune will actually enter Aries for the first time, 2025, and then fully 2026. So, but now Neptune at 29:56, I believe, has gone retrograde this morning. And in Pisces, end of Pisces, double Pisces. So there's a lot going on in the atmosphere with Saturn stationary, with Neptune stationary, both strong turnaround focal points. And we've seen it a lot in the media. Such a media showers, I like to call them sometimes, right? Media showers of especially presidential debate debacles, and fallout of all of that. And now we have Canada Day, Pride is coming, lots of things are in the air, which are in a way, also stirring up the attention of people and are controversial, right? So can you be overwhelmed? Do you feel inundated? Do you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't take this anymore, I gotta just escape from it all? That's all very Piscean. And some people go into addictive behavior with that. So all of that can be up on the table right now, but only, as I keep saying, to actually wash out residues of the outgoing Pisces age. The Pisces age is fading, is ending as the Aquarius age is coming in. Of course, the two tendencies are overlapping, and that's just natural and organic. So that the part with the Pisces age is definitely up now with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and they will come together actually next year in July, exactly a year from now, and again in February 26, 2026. But then at that point, on the first degrees, maybe one or two, of Aries. So this is really a big transition, an ending and a release at the same time. A new era is coming in. So how can we contribute to releasing these Pisces age residues? On a personal level, they often relate to us feeling part of this codependent dynamic that the Pisces age, especially lately, has created. And that is a dynamic between victims, between perpetrators, saviors, martyrs. So where are we positioned? Where do we position ourselves in all of this? How do we take all this in and then run with that program, right? So it can be very conducive, it can be very seductive, it can really pull you into that, but we're not doing this anymore. It doesn't serve us, it doesn't serve humanity and us personally, right? So identifying that and then finding closures, and with Saturn would say, okay, this is complete, this is harvested, all the causes and effects have been seen, all the karma has been acknowledged, and we don't want to carry that over. So let's allow also all these toxic vibrations and contracts, right? With Saturn, the contracts, with Neptune, the vibrations, to go out and to be recycled, so to say, into better energy. Yeah, so that plays out on all levels, of course, personally, in society, in relationships, in the world, with the climate, with everything, right? So, and it's also very much about the climate is changing on a very general level, right? There's so much change in the overall climate going on right now. And how can we be part of the change that is more empowering, the change that guides us to the future and serves us all much better. So this Piscean energy here. And then we have, as of today, also started already in the morning, our time, Mercury went into Leo. That's quite a shift too. So we have finally, so to say, another planet in a fire sign. There has been the only fiery factor has been Chiron in Aries, nothing in Leo, nothing in Sagittarius at this point. So this brings also more uplifting, more sparkly vibration, so to say, more creativity, more expression, more confidence, more, since it's also a fixed sign, stability actually, right? So where is the stability found in Leo? Stability is found in a strong self. That is Leo. Yet, of course, the shadow of that would be, or actually it's not the shadow, it's a compensation for a strong self, is narcissism. Because narcissists aren't really strong. They pretend, right? And do they really love themselves? They make it all about themselves, but what's the motive here, right? And so the strength of Leo is a strong heart and is also a living life lovingly. So how can you express our love, our heart, our generous, creative self that radiates from a Leo side? How can we express it in our communication? How can we foster thoughts of that kind? And life is joy, right? With Leo, joy and play, and it's all a play, right? How can we be more playful, right? And how can we show ourselves more in a genuine way, right? And so that actually also goes well together with the Aries energy, which is about authenticity, which is about a warrior energy that is, yeah, authentic and autonomous. And yeah, so in that regard, that is very healing. Authenticity, I've seen that so many times in clients and in my own life, how important it is to be authentic. And that's very much the Chiron in Aries. And Mercury in Leo will help with that. So Mercury will be for 2 phases in Leo. Why? Because, yes, Mercury will go retrograde. So Mercury will go up to 4, I believe, 4 degrees of Virgo. Yeah, 4 degrees, 6 minutes on August 4th. So easy to remember. And then backtrack, right? So it will go all the way through Leo, enter Virgo on the 25th of July, then go into the early Virgo, from there retrograde, and retrograde up to 21-25 Leo again. That will be on August 28th, and then out fully through Leo. Need my cheat sheet here. Fully through Leo the second time until September 8th. So that's a long phase, right? So you could say almost 2 months with a little Virgo dynamic. The transition from Leo to Virgo, I call that, and it's actually called in astrology, the Sphinx Point. So this is all about self-awareness that the mind wants to take us to. And coming from so much Leo, it's also about loving ourselves and loving ourselves truly and living in love and have that reflected in our mind. Then the awareness, who are we, who are you, and what really works best for you, says Virgo, but also how can you operate and work best. That can literally have to do with your health. That can also have to do with bringing out your tools, bringing out what you are really skillful and capable of, and serving the world, serving others with that. And then it's also about with Leo Virgo, so self-awareness on a spiritual level, right? So it's really on a deep level. Who or what is the self, right? That expresses here, and going into awareness around that, and that can bring a lot of depth and a lot of peace into your life. That's the short version. Of course, you also always find more to read about these changes in my blog, and I will write a blog about Mercury in Leo and a blog for Neptune going retrograde. There's already a blog up for Saturn retrograde, and I feel that's definitely up now. A lot can be experienced about that, and I also spoke to Saturn retro in the last video of last week. Now, what's also up this week is Lilith has recently, that was on June the 30th, has entered Libra. And that's a longer process. Actually, Lilith is 9 months in a sign, will be in Libra until the 27th of March next year. And this has just started. So Lilith typically brings out what's called wild woman energy, but that's way too narrow. That's way too stereotypical. It's actually the energy of the unconditioned self, rewilding ourselves before we were conditioned, so to say. How can we access that? And what does it have to do with Libra at this point? Of course, everybody with Libra planets, sun, moon, ascendant will notice this energy even stronger, right? When Lilith comes along. And so the conditioned Libra would be more a being nice, being pretty, being agreeable, and even again compromising, which is also the shadow of Libra that the South Node brings out that right now. So not about not making it about others so much, not comparing ourselves with others so much, which is also a Libra thing, not worrying so much or wondering so much how others see you, whether they like you on social media and anywhere, and whether you are likable, whether you are nice enough for them, and on all levels, right? That can be very Libra. So how do you look in a way in the eyes of others? So that's not the idea, right? That could be an old conditioning, could be also old Pisces age conditioning, societal stuff. But with Lilith in Libra, with the South Node in Libra, with the North Node in Aries, with Chiron in Aries, it's all about actually being more authentic and then choosing from there. So Lilith in Libra can also help us make good choices coming from a place of our unconditioned self, not doing it for others, not being strategic and trying to persuade others for something, right? Choices is a Libra thing again, especially towards the end of Libra when we're going towards Scorpio. Then the choices become even more prominent. So choices, right? So choose. So with Libra, Leo, and Aries, also choose you first, right? Choose you fully, and what is it that brings balance into your life, and maybe also changing all sorts of old patterns around that to Libra would be also like, oh well, what can I do, and so on, right? In combination with Pisces, no, you can do a lot. You can actually bring balance in so many ways. So that itself could be a good inquiry. Can be your lifestyle, can be your habits, your food, all sorts of things. And yes, and so being really choosing your authentic self for starters. Now, what's going on with the moon? And we're building up to a new moon, or we're gearing down actually, because we're in a waning moon phase. And so the moon is now in Gemini. July 2nd, this morning, the moon went into Gemini at 8:50 a.m. Pacific. Moon will be in Gemini today, tomorrow, the 3rd, and until the 4th at 1:51 p.m. Pacific. So the moon in Gemini, the biggest theme there is the connection with Jupiter, right? Jupiter is in Gemini, and the moon will meet Jupiter on the 3rd in the morning, so at just after midnight from today to tomorrow, Pacific, right? So this is all about learning. This is all about asking good questions and being curious and being the learner, right? Lifelong learning, and also inquiring, asking good questions, and being curious. I repeat myself, what's going on? I go into a Neptune retro loop. I'm just being aware of that. Anyway, so the Gemini energy, diversity, and opening up to different avenues, and being more trusting for that as well, right? And also being a critical thinker, that's very Gemini, right? Not necessarily being so swayed, which the Pisces side could be. Jupiter goes soon, eventually, when is that? Into square with Saturn, right? So we don't see it quite yet. Jupiter is about 10 degrees now, and Saturn is still around 20 degrees, but towards the autumn. Don't have that in my head, and I don't want to go through the motions to look that up. But trust me, Jupiter will square Saturn. So there is this clash and this interesting tension between the freshness, the curiosity, the common sense also, and the more the cerebral side with Gemini. And then there's the Pisces side, which is like the overall atmosphere, which can be also a kind of a toxic soup, right? So not necessarily going into that. Saturn in Pisces says less is more. Jupiter in Gemini says more is better, right? So there you have it. And so the moon will meet Jupiter, so you could already notice that effect. Of course, we do on a monthly basis when the moon meets Jupiter and then square Saturn. So you have that, we have that tomorrow. Moon meets Jupiter in the morning and square Saturn in the evening. And so it is a great time for any conversations, and especially since it's a waning moon, conversations to unravel things and to let go of certain grievances or whatever it is, right? So talk to people, and especially since we're also, speaking of grievances, we're also in the central part of Cancer right now. That's from July 1st, typically to the 11th, right? Central part, the central 10 degrees, they have a Scorpio undertone. So with Scorpio, deeper emotions that are being traced now, and we are feeling all these undertones, and they're in the atmosphere and they're in the energy field of the season, so to say. Interesting that Colonial Canada Day and US Independence Day are both in that part of the calendar, right? With the sun in Cancer, both countries, and the undertone would be Scorpio, central Cancer. So it has to do typically also with deeper and undercurrents in families, in tribes, and unprocessed material that comes up that needs to be processed and needs to be coming to the surface. So a lot is going on for both countries, as we know, at this point in their birthday week. And yeah, so now the moon being in Cancer, going into Cancer on the 4th of July at 1:51 p.m., then going into new moon. So basically being the dark moon in Cancer before renewal, before new moon on the 5th of July at 3:57 p.m. So I show you the chart of the Cancer new moon to illustrate that a little bit, where we're at and what's going on with that new moon energy. Of course, I'll also write for the new moon on the blog, and if you're on my newsletter, you also, as a subscriber, you can also via email get the newsletter for the new moon that is comprehensive for all the other energies as well. So here's the Cancer new moon, and you see Sun and Moon and also Venus. Venus is still in Cancer, ahead of the Sun and Moon in this case. So it's a really sweet energy, and it's a renewal energy, and it's also right in central Cancer, 16 degrees, no, 15, 1423. So right in the middle of Cancer, we are in this mode of renewing, right? I'm also saying renewing because the Scorpio undertone is regenerative, right? So now it's more elimination, a release before we get to the new moon, because that's also Scorpionic, and it's a very renewal energy. With Cancer, it's typically about homecoming. What does homecoming mean to you? And that's, of course, especially relevant in the area of life where mid-Cancer is in your chart. And that can be related to the houses, right? So it can be, if it's in your 7th house, it's homecoming with your significant others, with your partners. And if it's in your 5th house, it has a lot to do with children. It has to do with coming home into your own creativity. If it's in your 12th house, it has to do at home in your spiritual self, in all that is. And if it's in your 3rd house, it has to do with the environment, feeling at home again in the environment that surrounds you. Anyway, these are just examples, and if you have Cancer moon, especially Sun, planets, rising, nodes, all of that, the Cancer moon activates that and wants to bring out, as I said, a really sense of home and belonging. And that might be also, as I said, a process, because it's mid-Cancer with Scorpio undertone. More about that in the newsletter and in the blog. So you can see in the chart also that Lilith has freshly entered Libra and will approach the South Node. I believe that's in August already, or September. And so that's an energy that is unconditioning us, right? So all this, I should say also fake, right? Fake is a shadow of Libra, right? So it looks good, looks nice, and is creating a connection with you, right? But it's not real, it's not authentic. Then we have here also Pluto retro. Pluto is still in early Aquarius. Pluto will go once more back into Capricorn, September 1st till November 19th. That's right over the hot phase of the US elections. And US have the last leg, so to say, of their Pluto return this year, because their Pluto of 1776, July 4th, is also in Capricorn. They carry that Plutonic energy. So I often refer to that with Pluto in Capricorn, the old empires expire. So in this case, it's which empires are expiring, what's the shadow, what's the under the surface of the governmental and other hierarchical structures, which is all Capricorn. Yes, you can also see here Saturn and Neptune. Saturn has just freshly gone retro. Neptune went retro today, as you see right on the cusp. Can you see it? Okay, I'm just making sure. Neptune right on the cusp here to Aries, which I call the emergence point. So not going into Aries, backing off, going once more back into Pisces, and then being met by Saturn, as I said, next year. So this is also where a lot is a lot is outflowing, and this big wave of the Pisces age even, and of these last the last yeah big, also big wave of suffering, right? So that's been often the theme with Pisces, and we don't need more suffering, we need more freedom. We're moving into the Aquarius age, and the newness is indicated by Aries, but especially also Pluto going into Aquarius. Okay, that's it for today, and I'll see you again in real life, or you see me again here on this channel next week. Have a beautiful week, summery week into the new moon. Bye.